What's up guys, Jay's 2 cents here and it's rumor mill time, you know, I hate myself already for doing that. So, here's what I'm gonna do today. I'm not gonna play music for you, because I like to tell you guys, just minimize the video and listen to what I'm talking about in the rumors if you're interested, and then play your own music. But then I would play my music, ruining your music, and that's like really stupid. So, I'm not gonna do that this time. For those looking for a high-end custom gaming experience, look no further than Falcon Northwest. Falcon Northwest has been building PCs made for gamers for over 30 years with a focus on a true high-end gaming experience. Custom cases available only through Falcon Northwest feature state-of-the-art testing and design to ensure that every component is performing at their best through thermal imaging and rigorous lab testing designed and overseen by the Falcon Northwest founder himself. With a complete lineup of systems ranging from small to large, every Falcon Northwest system includes a 3-year warranty policy and a year of 2-way overnight shipping coverage, providing the ultimate peace of mind. To see all that Falcon Northwest has to offer, follow the sponsored link in the description below. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the latest rumors with AMD. One of the videos I did last week talked about the fact that one of the AMD 9000 series launch was a complete flop. It was like the Borderlands movie of a CPU launch. It was the worst we've seen in like 15 years almost. So what we're going to talk about today regarding the rumors is AMD appears to be pulling up its timeline on launching the 9000 series 3D V-Cache processors. One of the problems with the 9000 series CPUs is the fact that although the efficiency gain or improvement is pretty massive, 9950X aside, there's no improvement there. Apparently they're still working on how to make 2 CCDs with 8 cores and 16 threads, total SMT on both of those CCDs to be more efficient. So 9900X and down became more efficient. The problem is the efficiency and the small marginal single-digit percentage improvements in performance regarding like CPU intensive tasks was not enough to make people want to run out and buy it. If you have a 7000 series CPU, that means you fully upgraded when you built that system. That means you got DDR5 RAM, you got an X670 board, or maybe X670E, or maybe B650. Regardless, you have a new, very high feature board. And the incentive just wasn't there for you to upgrade. In fact, you're probably still running, to be honest, a 7800X3D if you've been following who the GOAT is regarding gaming CPU. There was no incentive for pretty much anyone on 7000 series CPU to want to upgrade, unless you were running like a 7600 non-X or something to get you ready for the next gen, which is where we are. And then maybe like a 9900X or a 90, I would say 9800X doesn't exist. There's no 800 series at the moment. There was very little reason for you to improve unless you wanted to step up to one of the big boys like a 9900 or 9950X. So this rumor of talking about bringing in X3D CPUs is kind of an exciting one, because the CPU that is reportedly coming at the end of October with a potential October 10th announcement is going to be the new successor to the ultimate gaming CPU. Now we're hoping that they're bringing over a lot of the pedigree of what they figured out and learned regarding 3D V-Cache technology with the 7800X3D and moving it forward. Because, so if we go back to Computex, AMD is actually on record. Walagrowski, I guess he's one of the marketing folks for AMD. I don't know him personally, I never met him. He's on record as actually saying that, Donnie Walagrowski says, the company, and this is a quote, is not just resting on laurels, and it has some big plans for the next version of the X3D chip. So resting on laurels means we've done the work. We're happy with the way it is, and we're gonna let it float. That's what Intel did for many, many, many years, and you see how that's working out for them. That's an example of resting on laurels. 14 nanometer plus minus might be a perfect example of that. So they're not just, at least based on what Donnie is saying here, they are not just resting on that. They are looking to improve it. Because it goes on to say, and this is reported through PC Gamer, by the way. Article links will be down below if you guys want to go and read them fully. He says, it's not like, hey, we've also added X3D to a chip, meaning they didn't just take the 9000 series processors, take one of the CCDs for the 9900, 9950X, and say, let's throw 3D V-Cache on that CCD and call it done. He's saying, we are working actively on really cool differentiators to make it even better. We're working on X3D, we're improving it. So I wanna talk about that real quick, because one of the biggest complaints people have about the X3D CPUs, there's 3 of them for 7th gen, or 7000 series, it's not 7th gen, 7000 series, 7800 X3D, which is a single CCD, 8 cores, 16 threads with SMT enabled, 3D V-Cache available to all 8 cores because it's one CCD. However, when you step up to the 7900 X3D, you get 2 6-core 12-thread CCDs where only one of the CCDs gets access to 3D V-Cache. Same thing for the 9950X, only it's 8 cores, 16 threads per CCD, only available to one CCD. So that brings in core parking. And core parking, as we know, has been sort of broken because of all of the variables that are in play when it comes to making it work right. Windows has to be updated and properly, versioned out. If you're running like Windows 10 and you haven't updated it in forever, it's probably not working right. Windows 11 is preferred, et cetera, et cetera. Xbox Game Bar has to be enabled with certain settings have to be set just right. Your power profiles have to be set just right. Because if you tell your Windows power management system to say, prefer maximum performance, well, the maximum performance core is actually the non-3D cache because it has higher core clocks. So with that said, if you didn't have your power profiles right and you didn't have your X3D installed, or excuse me, you didn't have your X3D driver installed, which I talked about in our video where I showed how if you go from a non-X3D CPU to an X3D CPU, it probably won't install the correct chipset 3D Vcache controller. Did a whole documentary on that where people were very excited because a lot of folks wrote me saying, thank you, that fixed my problem. I've done everything including reinstalling Windows and it's just being a pain in the ass. I'm hoping what some may differentiate the 9000 series CPUs is 3D Vcache on both CCDs. That'd be awesome because then core parking is a lot less important because if it parked one or the other, it doesn't matter. The reason why core parking happens on the gaming mode too on the non-3D Vcache processors like the 9950X and the 9900X, remember those core park for God knows why, but they core park, might be for the reason I'm about to explain, is you do get some increased latency as those processes are handed off to the other CCD. Although they're on the same substrate and they share the Infinity Fabric, they share the same RAM, they have separate caches available to them, and as they hand off to another CCD, latency can be introduced, leading to frame drops, potential stutters, and just overall lesser performance than if it all just stayed on one. So, what would happen if they found a way to make bigger CCDs? And that's what I'm really hoping that we're leading at. I am now speculating. They have said they want to differentiate. The rumor is that they're pulling it in. And I think the reason why they're pulling it in is because of the abysmal sales. And they're going, well, if we really want to incentivize people to update to the 9000 series processors, X3D for gamers, who admittedly is AMD's probably biggest demographic, probably is what they need to launch sooner than later. I don't know when they were planning on initially launching it, but that would make this CPU one of the nearest launches to the family launch than we've seen for any of the X3D processors. Look how late the 5800 X3D came after the 5000 series CPU launch, years later. But that's because they had already developed the technology and then sort of adapted it. And then the 5600 X3D, although a Micro Center CPU only, the same with the 7600 X3D, a Micro Center exclusive. That's just because of their numbers being the yields are so low on those CPUs that I don't agree with the exclusivity being available at only one store. That's my only gripe with the whole Micro Center thing, is that means it's not available to so many people. But moving on, AMD has been using 8 and 6 core CCDs since Ryzen has launched. What if we found a way to make it a 10 core CCD? Or what if we found a way to make it a 12 core CCD? That would differentiate from what's currently available, because that would make something like say it was a 9900X 12 core, 24 thread, single core or single CCD chip. Now we're talking double the cores. Now we are talking no handoff through Infinity Fabric, no core parking to deal with. And then what if the 9950X 3D, they found a way to make it 16 core X3D? That would be awesome. I don't think we're there, because I think if they had found a way to actually extend the amount of cores they could put per CCD, we probably would have seen that be the foundation of what it is now. So I don't think that's the case, but that would have been awesome. I'm really hoping what differentiates it too might be maybe they found a way to make it a little less temperature sensitive, because the other thing that really sucks about the X3D CPUs is the CCD that has access to the 3D Vcache has a lower power limit, it has a lower TJ max, it has a lower frequency, because the 3D Vcache is very temperature sensitive. So for instance, the 7950X has a 95C TJ max and a 170 watt PPT. But when you go over to the 7950X 3D, you get an 85C TJ max for both CCDs. Both CCDs now have a max that has to share the lowest common denominator, which is now the X3D. And you have a lower power limit available to it because of the fact that, one, the power and the temperature are correlated. So because of the sensitivity, there's lower power, lower temperature, and because we have a lower power now means we have lower stability with the high core clocks, which means they have to lower the core clock on the X3D CCD. You do get better clocks on the non-X3D But again, you now essentially have two CPUs, one for gaming, one for multitasking, or both can multitask depending on the programs that you're doing. So I'm really hoping that what they maybe found that they could push the technology forward is a way for it to keep the clocks and boosted higher for longer. Because the 3D V-cache is awesome. Significant amount of V-cache, which is why you get better frame rates because it can store more data and more frames in the cache direct to the CPU without having to go to the system RAM. That's huge. But the problem is now because of the lower core clocks, that does affect the overall performance. So if we were able to get higher core clocks with the higher cache, that is going to be the next evolution of the CPU. So I'm hoping that that's what they announce, is that maybe at the very least, if it is still non-3D V-cache die and 3D V-cache die on the big boys, obviously 9800X3D is going to be a single CCD, so it's not going to matter there. But it would benefit from the higher core clocks and lesser sensitivity to temperatures and power if they advanced it in that way. That seems like the most logical type of differentiation that they're talking about here, because that would be the process improvement. If they found a way to make it more efficient, because this is what's leading me to thinking this is what the rumor is. If they found a way to make the cores already more efficient, or the 9700X and the 9900X are running like half the power that the 7000 series is, then that's good for temperatures, although the T-die measurement is in a different spot now, so you can't relate it to 7000 series. That means potentially higher clocks for 3D V-cache if they can keep those temperatures and powers down. That means higher frame rates. That's what I'm hoping it is. That's my speculation. You can put me on record as saying, and I haven't read any other articles, I don't know if anyone else is saying this, but this seems extremely logical, so I'm assuming most people in the industry that are speculating right now on what the improvements are, that has to be it. Take advantage of the efficiencies, maybe meet halfway between the efficiency, where instead of dropping it all the way down to like a 65 watt part, make it like an 85 watt part, right? Instead of 120 watt or 130 watt or whatever it could have been or was. So that gives you the extra core clocks back to the X3D variant, but it doesn't push you into that danger zone of being too focused power and too focused temperature that makes the 3D V-cache sensitive. So I hope that's what we see. Because that might be what it takes for people to start adopting 9000 series. And then they sure as hell better make a lot of 9800X3D ones, because there's no reason, in my opinion, for gamers to buy the multi-CCD version, because you would have to buy a 9950X3D to get the 9800X3D die, because that's what one half of it is. So unless you're doing productivity tasks where you need the performance die, 9800X3D all day long is like perfect for anybody. That's why the 7800X3D has been GOAT. So now we need the 9800X3D to be that. And that would be perfect timing, because I think another reason why AMD is rushing this out is not just to try and pick up sales. I think we're looking at October for Arrow Lake launch. And I think AMD right now is like, crap, we sort of screwed up on our launch. And we know Intel's coming out with their newest thing. They can capitalize on the all-time low trustworthiness rating right now of Intel and cash in on the right CPU at the right time. There you go. That's been my take on the rumors. I don't tend to talk about rumors a lot, especially with like GPUs and stuff like Blackwell and all that, because so much of that stuff is kind of hard to follow and try and really conceptualize what the rumors might be. But I think this CPU one makes a lot of sense. So if you want me to talk about more rumors and stuff, yeah, just comment down below. Say, Jay, talk about rumors and stuff. Like, what's a rumor that I absolutely shouldn't talk about? Probably. Oh, so I heard that P Diddy